My name is Magnolia Grace Henderson, and I'm 42 years old. For the past 6 months, I'd poured my heart, soul, and every spare dollar into planning what was supposed to be the celebration of a lifetime, my parents' 50th wedding anniversary. I wanted it to be perfect. I needed it to be perfect. Because despite everything, despite the years of being overlooked and undervalued, I still loved them. I still wanted to make them proud. But on October 14th, 2023, standing in the middle of the Riverside Grand Ballroom in Charleston, South Carolina, surrounded by 200 guests, crystal chandeliers sparkling overhead, and a 5-tier cake that cost more than my monthly mortgage payment, I realized something that shattered me completely. My father didn't see me at all. He never had. And that night, when he stood up to give his thank you speech and acknowledged everyone, the caterers, the musicians, my younger brother Trevor, who'd shown up an hour before the party started, even our second cousin Delilah, who'd literally done nothing but RSVP, everyone except me, I made a decision that would change everything. I walked straight up to the microphone, my hands trembling but my resolve steel, and I handed my father a bill, an itemized, detailed $47,000 bill. For every single thing I'd paid for, organized, and executed for their special day. The room went silent. My mother gasped. My brother's face turned the color of expired milk. And my father, his expression moved from confusion to shock to something I'd never seen before. Shame, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me take you back to where this really began. Chapter 1. The Golden Child versus the Invisible Daughter. I grew up in a beautiful 4-bedroom colonial home in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. From the outside, we looked like the perfect American family. My father, Richard Henderson, was a successful insurance broker. My mother, Patricia Henderson, was a real estate agent who wore pearls to the grocery store and never had a hair out of place. Then there was Trevor, my younger brother by 4 years, who could do no wrong. Literally. He failed out of college twice, wrecked 3 cars, and once borrowed $8,000 from Mom's savings account to invest in a crypto scheme that collapsed in 2 weeks. Each time they bailed him out with love, understanding, and checkbooks wide open, and then there was me. I was the one who got straight A's, but was told I was too serious. The one who worked 2 jobs to pay for my own college because it would build character. The one who became a successful event coordinator, bought my own home at 28, and never once asked them for financial help. I was also the one they called when they needed something. When Dad had his gallbladder surgery in 2019, who took 2 weeks off work to stay at their house and manage his recovery? Me. When Mom wanted to redecorate the entire downstairs and needed someone to coordinate contractors, designers, and furniture deliveries? Me. When Trevor needed someone to co-sign his apartment lease because his credit was trashed, they didn't even ask. They just gave him the money and told me I should be more generous with my little brother. I told myself it didn't matter. I told myself that love isn't a competition. I told myself that being the responsible one was its own reward. I was lying to myself. It was March 2023 when Mom first mentioned the anniversary. We were having lunch at Magnolia's Cafe downtown, just the 2 of us, which was rare. She was picking at a Cobb salad, and I was stress-eating French fries because I'd just finished coordinating a chaotic wedding where the bride's mother had punched the groom's mother. That's a story for another day. "Your father and I have been talking," Mom said in that careful tone that meant she wanted something. "Our 50th anniversary is coming up in October." "That's wonderful, Mom," I said genuinely. 50 years of marriage is something special, even if their marriage had always felt more like a business partnership than a romance. "We'd like to have a party. Nothing too extravagant. Maybe 100 people. At the country club." I should have seen it coming. "That sounds lovely," I said, dipping another fry in ketchup. "Are you hiring a planner?" There was a pause. A very significant pause. "Well, sweetie, you're so good at this sort of thing. And you know all the best vendors. We thought, maybe you could help." Help. That magic word that actually meant do everything. But here's the thing about daughters who've spent their lives seeking crumbs of approval. We can't help ourselves. We see an opportunity to finally be seen, to finally be valued, and we jump at it like it's a life raft. "Of course," I heard myself say. "I'd be honored." Mom's face lit up. She reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "Oh, Magnolia, you're such a blessing. I knew we could count on you. for one shining moment. I felt important to her. That moment lasted about 48 hours. Chapter 3. The Planning Nightmare begins. What started as nothing too extravagant and maybe 100 people quickly morphed into something else entirely. Within a week, Mom had sent me a guest list of 175 people, then 200, then 237. Mom, the country club ballroom only holds 180 comfortably, I explained over the phone. Well, then we'll need to find somewhere bigger. I can't not invite the Williamson family. Patricia Williamson and I were in book club together for 15 years. So I found a bigger venue, the Riverside Grand Ballroom. It was stunning. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Ashley River, marble floors, vintage chandeliers. It was also $8,500 to rent, not including tables, chairs, linens, or anything else. Perfect, Mom exclaimed when I showed her photos. Can you put the deposit down? We'll pay you back, of course. Of course. I put down the $3,000 deposit on my credit card. Then came the catering. Mom wanted a full sit-down dinner with filet mignon and Chilean sea base options. When I told her that would run about $150 per person, she waved her hand dismissively. It's our 50th anniversary, Magnolia. We're not serving chicken fingers. $30,000 for catering. On my credit card, then the cake. Not just any cake. A custom 5-tier masterpiece from Charleston's most exclusive bakery, decorated with edible gold leaf and sugar flowers. $3,200 my credit card, the photographer. The videographer, the string quartet for the ceremony, the jazz band for the reception, the florist, oh God, the florist. Mom wanted cascading orchid arrangements on every table, a flower wall for photos, and 2 massive urns flanking the entrance. Magnolia, can you just handle it? You know I trust your taste. Every single deposit, every single payment came from my bank account. We'll pay you back after the party, Dad assured me during one of our rare conversations about the budget. I'm waiting on a big commission check. Should come through in November. I wanted to believe him. Chapter 4. Trevor's Contribution. About 2 months into planning, Trevor called me. This was unusual. My brother typically only contacted me when he needed something. Hey, Mags, he said, using the nickname I'd always hated. Mom told me about the anniversary party. Sounds like it's going to be epic. It's certainly shaping up to be something, I said, reviewing my checklist while we talked. I was up to item number 347. So, I was thinking, I want to contribute. I almost dropped my phone. Really? I tried not to sound too shocked. Yeah. I mean, it's their 50th. That's huge. I want to do something special. My heart actually swelled a little. Maybe Trevor was finally growing up. Maybe this would be a bonding experience for us. Maybe he'd actually help with something. That would be amazing, Trev. What did you have in mind? I'm going to make a toast. Like a really good one. I've been working on it. A toast. He wanted to contribute. A toast. That's great, I managed. But I was thinking more along the lines of helping with costs or coordinating some of the vendors. I'm juggling a lot here. Oh man, I wish I could help with the money stuff, but I'm totally tapped out. Sarah and I just booked this amazing trip to Turks and Caicos. Cost a fortune, but you only live once, right? Sarah was his girlfriend of 6 months. He was taking her on a vacation that probably cost $5,000 while I was drowning in anniversary expenses. Right? I said flatly. You only live once. But seriously, my toast is going to be amazing. I'm really putting thought into it. I'm sure it will be memorable. After we hung up, I sat in my home office surrounded by vendor contracts, fabric swatches, and seating charts, and I cried for 20 minutes straight. Then I pulled myself together and got back to work. Because that's what I always did. Chapter 5. The Final Month. Everything falls. Apart September 2023 was when things really started to unravel. Not with the party planning, but with me. I'd stopped sleeping properly. I'd lost 12 pounds because I kept forgetting to eat. My business was suffering because every spare moment went into Mom and Dad's anniversary. I'd had to turn down 3 potentially lucrative clients because I simply didn't have the bandwidth. My best friend Keisha finally staged an intervention. We were sitting in my living room on a Tuesday night. She'd brought wine and Thai food and refused to leave until I talked to her. Magnolia Grace Henderson, she said, using my full name like my mother did when I was in trouble. You look like hell. What is going on? I'm fine. Just busy with the anniversary party. Bullshit. Keisha had never been one to mince words. You're not fine. You're running yourself into the ground for people who don't appreciate you. They're my parents. They're taking advantage of you. She set down her wine glass with emphasis. How much have you spent so far? I didn't want to tell her. Magnolia, how much? Around $40,000? $40,000? Keisha stood up, started pacing. Please tell me they've paid you back some of that. My silence was the answer. Oh my God. Maggie, please tell me you're getting that money back. Dad's waiting on a commission check. They'll pay me back after the party. And you believe that? The question hung in the air. Did I believe it? Or was I just telling myself a comforting lie? They're my parents, I repeated, but my voice was weaker this time. Keisha sat back down, took both my hands in hers. I love you. You're the most capable, generous, beautiful person I know. But honey, you have got to stop setting yourself on fire to keep other people warm. I started crying again. I just want them to see me, Keisha. Just once, I want to matter as much as Trevor does. Oh, sweetheart. She pulled me into a hug. You matter. You matter so much. But you're looking for validation from people who can't give it to you. And it's destroying you. That conversation planted a seed in my mind. A tiny seed of doubt, of resentment, of clarity. But I still didn't stop. I still didn't set boundaries. Not yet. Chapter 6. The week before. Last minute. Chaos. The week before the anniversary was absolute pandemonium. The florist called to say that orchids were suddenly scarce, something about a shipment issue from Ecuador, and the price had increased by $3,000. Did I want to switch to roses? No, Mom definitely did not want roses. She wanted orchids or nothing. I paid the extra $3,000. The band's singer got COVID, and they had to find a replacement. The replacement wanted an additional $800 fee. I paid it. Mom decided 5 days before the event that she didn't like the ivory linens. She wanted champagne-colored linens. Did I know how hard it is to change a linen order 5 days before an event? I made it happen. It cost an extra $600. Dad called to tell me that they'd invited 15 more people. Just squeeze them in somewhere, honey. I'm sure you'll figure it out. I figured it out. Trevor called to tell me he couldn't pick up his tuxedo until the day of the event because he was really busy with work. Could I pick it up for him? I picked it up. Nobody asked how I was doing. Nobody asked if I needed help. Nobody seemed to notice that I'd developed a stress rash on my neck or that I'd started having panic attacks in my car. By October 13th, the day before the anniversary, I had spent $47,000 of my own money, worked approximately 300 hours of unpaid labor, and aged what felt like 10 years. But the party was going to be perfect. That's what mattered, right? Chapter 7. The day of the calm before. The storm October 14th, 2023 dawned bright and beautiful. A perfect South Carolina autumn day. 72 degrees, gentle breeze, not a cloud in the sky. I'd been at the venue since 6 a.m. overseeing setup. The florist arrived at 7 ao, the caterers at 8 sao, the AV team at 9 ao. I'd texted my parents good morning and told them not to worry about a thing, just show up at 5 p.m. looking beautiful. Mom responded, "Can't wait. See you soon." Dad didn't respond at all, but that was normal. By 4 p.m., the ballroom was transformed. It was breathtaking. The orchids were spectacular, cascading white and purple blooms that looked like something from a fairy tale. The tables were set with fine china and crystal glasses. The cake had been delivered and looked like a work of art. The flower wall was Instagram perfect. I'd done it. I'd actually pulled off the impossible. Keisha arrived at 4:30 to be my date and moral support. She was wearing a stunning emerald dress, and when she walked into the ballroom, her jaw dropped. "Maggie," she breathed. "This is incredible. You're incredible." "Thank you," I said, and for the first time in months, I felt a surge of pride. Then she looked at me more closely. "When's the last time you ate?" "Breakfast?" I lied. It had been yesterday's breakfast. She grabbed my arm and dragged me to the catering area, where she bullied the staff into giving us 2 plates of appetizers. "Eat," she commanded. "I refuse to let you pass out before the drama even starts." "What drama?" I asked around a mouthful of crab cake. "Maggie, there's always drama at these things. And given the way your family operates, I'm expecting a show. I should have listened to her." Chapter 8. The guests arrived by 5:30 p.m. The ballroom was filling up. 200 guests in their finest attire, laughing, sipping champagne, admiring the decor. So many people stopped to compliment the party. This is magnificent. Best anniversary party I've ever attended. Everything is so elegant. Who's the coordinator? They did an amazing job. And every single time whoever they were talking to would say, "Oh, that's Patricia and Richard's daughter, Magnolia. She planned the whole thing." And people would nod appreciatively, but nobody would actually come talk to me. I was busy anyway, managing last-minute details, coordinating with the caterer, making sure everything ran smoothly. My parents arrived at 5:45 p.m. in a chauffeured car that I'd arranged and paid for. Mom looked beautiful in a silver gown, Dad handsome in his tuxedo. They walked into applause, and Mom actually had tears in her eyes. "Oh, Magnolia," she said when she saw the ballroom. "It's perfect." "It's absolutely perfect. I'm so glad you love it, Mom." She hugged me, a rare gesture, and for a moment, everything felt worth it. Dad shook my hand. Actually shook my hand, like I was a business associate. "Good job, kiddo. Really good job, that was it." That was my acknowledgement. Trevor arrived at 6:15 p.m., late, as always, with Sarah. He was wearing the tuxedo I'd picked up for him. He walked right past me without a word, grabbed a champagne glass, and started working the room like he was running for office. I watched him hug relatives, laugh with Dad's golf buddies, pose for photos. He looked relaxed. Happy? Like he didn't have a care in the world. I looked down at my phone and saw my bank account notification. $47,000 in debt. Something twisted in my chest. Chapter 9. The dinner service. Where's my thank you? Dinner was served at 7 p.m. The catering staff was flawless. The filet mignon was perfectly cooked. The sea bass was divine. The wine flowed. The conversation was lively. I sat at a table near the back with Keisha, some distant cousins, and a couple of Dad's coworkers I'd never met. Not at the head table with my parents and Trevor. Not anywhere close to the spotlight. That was fine. I didn't need attention. I just needed this night to go well. Midway through dinner, the band leader announced that Richard Henderson would like to say a few words. My father stood up, microphone in hand, looking distinguished and happy. Everyone quieted down, turned their attention to the head table. "Thank you all so much for coming tonight," Dad began. "Patricia and I are overwhelmed by your love and support. 50 years is a long time." He launched into a speech about their marriage, the early years, the challenges, the triumphs. He was eloquent, funny, charming. People were wiping tears and laughing. In all the right places, then he got to the thank yous. I want to especially thank a few people who made tonight possible. This was it. This was the moment. My heart actually started beating faster. First, to the incredible staff at Riverside Grand. This venue is spectacular. Applause. Okay, that made sense. To Bella Fiore for these stunning flowers. More applause. Sure, yes, the florist deserves recognition. To Gourmet Affairs for this incredible meal. Yes. The caterers worked hard. To the musicians who've created such wonderful ambiance. Of course, thank the band. To our dear friend Delilah, who helped us with the guest list. Delilah stood up and waved. She'd literally sent one email with 5 names. To my son Trevor, who's been such a support during this planning process. Trevor? My brother stood up, giving a modest little wave like he'd done literally anything. Anything at all. People were clapping. Sarah was beaming up at him. I felt like I was going to throw up. And most of all, to my beautiful wife, Patricia. For 50 years of love, patience, and partnership. Everyone stood up. A standing ovation for my parents. I stood up too, mechanically, like a robot. But inside, I was screaming. He'd thanked the venue, the florist, the caterers, the musicians, a family friend who'd sent one email, my brother who'd contributed nothing, but not me. Not the daughter who'd spent 6 months, 300 hours, and $47,000 making this night perfect. I was invisible. Keisha grabbed my hand under the table. Her grip was tight, angry. When I looked at her, I saw fury in her eyes. "We're leaving," she whispered. "I can't. I have to stay. I have to make sure, Maggie, if you don't stand up for yourself right now, I swear to God." But I couldn't move. I was frozen, trapped in a nightmare of my own making. Then Trevor stood up to make his toast. Chapter 10. Trevor's toast. The breaking point. My brother, drink in hand, megawatt smile on his face, took the microphone. Wow, what a party, right? Let's hear it again for Mom and Dad. More applause. I've been thinking a lot about what to say tonight. 50 years of marriage is incredible. It's rare. It's something to really celebrate. And looking around this room at all of you, at this amazing party, I'm in awe. He paused for effect. He'd always been good at performing. Mom, Dad, you taught me what love looks like. You taught me about commitment, about partnership, about building a life with someone. And I know I haven't always been the easiest kid. Laughter from the crowd. Trevor's screw-ups were legendary and somehow endearing. But you never gave up on me. You always believed in me. You always supported me. And I want you to know that Sarah and I... He turned to his girlfriend, who suddenly looked very emotional. Oh no. Sarah and I have an announcement. We're engaged. The room exploded. Screaming, applause, people rushing to congratulate them. Sarah was crying, holding up her hand to show off a ring I hadn't noticed before. My mother was crying, jumping up to hug Trevor. My father was shaking his hand, pulling him into a bear hug. Trevor had just hijacked our parents' 50th anniversary to announce his engagement, and everyone was thrilled about it. I watched my mother kiss Sarah's cheek, watched my father clap Trevor on the back with pride. I watched relatives I'd greeted and coordinated and arranged seating for rush past me to congratulate my brother. Something inside me snapped. Not broke. Snapped, like a steel cable under too much tension, finally giving way. I stood up. Keisha looked at me. Maggie? Excuse me, I said calmly. Too calmly. I walked to the coat check area where I'd left my bag. Inside was a folder I'd brought with me. My planning binder with all the contracts, receipts, and invoices. I'd kept meticulous records. Every single expense documented and organized. I pulled out the final itemized bill I'd created. I'd printed it yesterday, just to have a clear picture of the total cost. I'd never intended to actually use it as a bill. Until now. I walked back into the ballroom. Trevor was still at the microphone, still basking in the glow of his announcement. The photographer was taking engagement photos of him and Sarah with my parents who'd never looked prouder. I walked straight up to the head table. Excuse me, I said loudly. I'm sorry to interrupt. Trevor looked annoyed. Mags, can this wait? We're kind of having a moment here. No, I said. It can't wait. I took the microphone from him. My hands were shaking, but my voice was steady. I have something I need to say.